What if I told you that one of the greatest warrior kings in history died not in a glorious battle, but because of a literal pot of gold and a man using a frying pan as a shield? This is the wild, true story of how a ridiculous argument over treasure ended the life of England's most famous crusader king. It all started in 1199 in the small French town of Chalice. A peasant plowing a field uncovered an ancient Roman treasure. Rumors spread like wildfire, a life-sized golden statue of an emperor sitting at a golden table surrounded by gold coins. The local Viscount, Aymar of Limoges, claimed the treasure for himself. But King Richard the Lionheart, fresh from the Crusades and broke from paying his own ransom, demanded the gold. Aymar refused. So Richard marched his army to the tiny, poorly defended castle of Châlus-Chabrol. The castle was so weak that the defenders had to improvise. One man became a legend by standing on the battlements using a literal frying pan as a shield to deflect incoming arrows. Richard, amused by the ridiculous sight, walked the front lines without his armor on, laughing at the defenders. He was taunting them. He thought it was funny. But one defender took aim with a crossbow and fired. The bolt struck Richard directly in the shoulder. At first, he laughed it off. He had survived worse, but the wound turned gangrenous. As Richard lay dying, the castle finally fell. He requested the crossbowmen be brought to his deathbed. Instead of executing him, Richard forgave the man. He gave him 100 shillings and set him free, saying, "Live on, and by my bounty behold the light of day." But as soon as Richard died, his ruthless mercenary captain, Mercadier, ignored the king's dying wish. He captured the crossbowman, flayed him alive, and hanged him. The man who had been forgiven by the Lionheart was tortured to death in the most brutal way possible. Richard the Lionheart died at age 41 from a wound caused by a pot of gold and a frying pan. The man who had fought Saladin in the Crusades, survived captivity, and conquered kingdoms, was brought down by a peasant with a crossbow. The treasure he fought for was never found, and the frying pan defender became a legend, a symbol of how even the mightiest kings can be defeated by the smallest things. The death of Richard the Lionheart is a reminder that history is often stranger and more absurd than fiction. Even the greatest warriors can be taken down by a single unlucky shot and a frying pan. The end. Drop your thoughts below. Could the greatest king in England really be killed by a frying pan and a pot of gold? Subscribe to Random Vibe Spark for more insane hidden history, wild true stories, and reality-bending facts that will blow your mind.